Okay, people. So I am joined by Sheikh Shahnawaz, the writer, director, producer, cinematographer. He wears all the hats, right? He brought us Bluff. We talked about it last week, and yeah, he's blessed us with his presence today. Sheikh, thank you, man. Appreciate you stopping by.
Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. So, yeah, like with this film, you did everything. You did everything. It's a limited budget, and like for you, what was the thing, right? Because they're big hurdles, right? Not having those technical skilled people in those other positions and limited funds. That's a hurdle a lot of people go nah to. So, what was the thing that was like, you know what, I'm gonna make this film?
Well, I've always wanted to be a filmmaker since around around my second year of university when I watched Wolf of Wall Street, and then immediately after I watched Goodfellas, and I realized, oh, so this is what a director does. Because I've always watched movies, I've always enjoyed movies, but
Mm,
it's from watching those two films back to back I realized, oh, this is what a director does. This is what I want to do. These are the kind of films I want to make. Like these films are solely Martin Scorsese's, and I want to make films that are solely Sheikh Shahnawaz. Um, and from there I started researching how to become a film director, what a film director does. Other film directors like Stanley Kubrick, Christopher Nolan, how they got into the business, and I discovered that their first films, their micro budget films that they essentially made on their own or with their friends or over weekends for a very limited budget. Stanley Kubrick was probably one of the first ever micro budget films, his first two films. And I thought this is a filmmaker that's gone on to become an absolute legend in Hollywood. He's made these huge scale films, had complete creative control over his films, and his career is the kind of career I want for myself. And I thought, if he can make a film, his first film with whatever money around him, borrowed from his family, why can't I do the same? Same with Christopher Nolan. He made his first film Following for $6,000 with his friends over weekends, over the course of a year. And I figured I live in a time where digital technology allows you to uh, film things very cheaply or for free. You're not having to spend
mm.
money on expensive film stock like these filmmakers had to. So, there was no excuse for me to want to be a filmmaker. I went out there, made a film, and I feel like uh, anyone can. There's enough resources available online to learn all the technical aspects. We live in an age of free flowing information. People have to spend money on expensive university degrees to learn all this information, and now you can learn everything from a YouTube video. So there is no excuse today. Yeah.
Hey, that's very true, right? The one of the first people I remember hearing making something on just like normal kind of tech was Gareth Edwards with his film
Yeah.
Monster.
Monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
love Monster's such a great freaking film, so it
He
was just
edited.
like,
He did the visual effects from his bedroom,
yeah,
from his hotel bedroom.
yeah.
He did the visual effects. And this is back in the days, so those computers probably weren't even that powerful. So we have computers that are maybe 10 times more powerful now. So there's nothing to stop a filmmaker today making something like Monster with even better visual effects.
Well, I mean, you could probably do it on your phone now.
Yeah,
That's how
yeah,
crazy
yeah,
it's got.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, that I think it's a good attitude to have. That I'm not gonna wait for someone to give me this. I'm gonna go get me some. So man, that was huge, right? So you got the gumption. Where does the story come from, Shay?
The story. So I just came off of 2018, which I spent making a short film every year. I mean, sorry, every month
Mm-hmm.
for the whole of 2018. So I had like all these short films that I made with no crew and no budget as practice for my writing. Because and when we came into 2019, I felt like I was ready to finally write a feature film because I tried to write one in 2017. It flopped. it flopped, to be honest, because I just didn't have the skills at the time.
Yeah.
So in 2019, I was looking for a subject matter, a genre that would play into my wheelhouse, and also um, I could work with my limitations, because I knew I was going to make this film, on a limited budget, locations that I could probably get access for free, or friends and sorry, businesses and homes of friends and family. And so I kind of had to find a story world that I could sort of film in my backyard. And then I discovered this this book. It's a memoir of this undercover cop who operated in the Midlands as an undercover heroin addict, and he took down some notable gangs in the region. And then I thought, this is perfect, because I've noticed a rise in homelessness and drug dealing and drug abuse in my home city of Birmingham,
Mm.
and and it's so easy to by these guys, walk past these guys, and then one day I just sort of stopped and asked this person, um, tell me your story, and he told me the story. He used to be he used to be a good-looking lad, bit of a player, and then some girl introduced him to heroin, and now his life kind of spiraled out of control, and he's on the streets. And I thought, this is crazy. Like, this is happening in my backyard. I'm looking for a film to make, so I kind of set it around this world of undercover policing and heroin addiction, homelessness, drug abuse, drug dealing, the war on drugs in the UK, and it played right into my limitations as well in terms of locations I could film in. And I wrote the story around actors that I've worked with on my short films. So
Yeah.
there was already a shorthand there, a relationship there, so I wrote the story around those actors.
Okay. And how did you give yourself that education on drugs, right? Because I mean, we've all seen those films that touch on subjects, and you're like, that's not what you do. Like, what happened? And it's clear, no, they haven't looked too deep into the subject itself. So, how did you ensure to give yourself, that understanding?
So as soon as I found the topic and subject matter, I did as much research as I could online, read as many books as I could, on the topic, and then I started going out for first-hand information. So I was talking to actual heroin addicts. I'm from the ghetto. I'm from the inner city of Birmingham, so it wasn't too hard to find a drug dealer to spend the day with. Do you know what I mean? I had So I spent some time with actual drug dealers, learning about uh, the world, this underworld, and same with learning about what it's like being a heroin addict, a homeless heroin addict on the streets of Birmingham. And that's what I did for research, to kind of learn all the ins and outs of the world, because you watch a lot of movies and they play into cliche. Um,
Mm,
and I knew the thing that was going to make this film stand out was the authenticity to the subject matter. So the way a heroin addict, how would they order drugs from a dealer? They won't say, "Oh, can I have one crack and heroin, please?" Of course not. There's going to be keywords. There's going to be
yeah.
um, uh, a specific sort of language, colloquial language. So they wouldn't refer to it as drugs. They'll refer to it as gear, or something like food. They might refer to, or even when they order drugs, they'll specifically say the quantity that they want, but they won't say, "Can I have one crack, one heroin?" They'll be like, "Can I have a 4-2," which means um, you know uh, 0.4 grams of heroin and zero point 0.4 grams of crack cocaine.
Mm,
Usually heroin and crack cocaine goes hand in hand. So that's something I learned while doing my research. Because some people just have one or the other, but a lot of people get both, because when they're on heroin, the drug addicts told me they use heroin to get on a low, but when they get too low, they use crack to get back up as an upper. So
yeah,
this is
yeah.
all stuff I learned, all the nuances of that world, and put them in my film. Put all that research into my screenplay.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting touch because, yeah, I hadn't come across that. But then the explanation you get, you be like, yeah, that makes sense. Right. But yeah, this was the first place where I've come across that aspect of it. And so that was very
Top
interesting.
Boy, Top Boy did pretty well on covering the subject matter. The TV show, yeah,
Okay.
they did pretty well.
Yeah, I've never dipped into Top Boy. to be
Yeah,
honest with you.
I'm not a big fan of TV, but from the bits that I've seen, Top Boy did it pretty well in covering in because there's a UK way of covering of
Yeah.
doing things, and they did it pretty authentic uh to the location.
Because yeah, that's a very good point, right? Because we have things like The Wire, but
Mm.
that's not how it goes down here.
Not in the
You know
UK.
what I
Yeah.
mean? It's there's a different nuance to it all. I ain't fucked around with you know what I mean, H or anything like that. You know, a little weed back in the day, but you know, it's different. It's different the
Yeah.
way we do shit here. So I thought that you brought that to life very well, right? It was yeah, a little unique kind of thing. And I think this is the thing, right? Because you know, you've said, look, Scorsese, you like a little Scorsese, you know, these
He did
people.
the same thing with
Mm,
Mean Streets. He wrote he Mean Streets was based on the life around him, the way Italians, the Italian mobs, the not the top guys, the foot soldiers,
yeah.
is how they lived in the Bronx around him, and wrote he made and wrote Mean Streets to what was happening around him, his real life. You know, he showed an authentic way these people were living.
Yeah, no, definitely. So with these influences that you have, right? How do you kind of key into Shaq's voice? Right? Like, where? How do you know what that is when you're making, you know, your shorts and now your feature?
So, what do you mean exactly? How do
Right,
I go into a voice?
because right. So I think early on, whether it's films, music, comedy, we always take influence from the people we look up to, the people we admire, right? And then as you go, you realize what you're doing, and then you kind of establish your own voice. But
Okay.
you know what I mean? Because this is your first feature, how did you kind of, was there a conscious effort to be like, no, 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 that's too Scorsese. No, I want this to be more like me.
Well, when you're starting out as an artist, you obviously mimic the people you're inspired by. So my earlier short films, they were clearly like rip-off of like the Saw franchise or like uh so what else is there, Seven. So they were clearly just like I was trying to mimic the filmmakers that inspired me. And when you make enough of them, eventually you start developing your own voice naturally. Like, oh, these are the things that I like. Oh, these are the things I want to make a film about. And naturally, by the time, so when I was saying earlier, I tried to make a write a feature film in 2017, and it flopped because it was just it was just you know I was just trying to rip off other films that I've seen, a serial killer or a detective. It's just I played I played it too safe. I
Yeah.
wasn't doing anything unique. I didn't. It's because I wasn't old enough. I wasn't mature enough yet. And I didn't have enough knowledge. So as you get older, you have more experiences in life. You develop as an artist just by practicing your craft. So by the time it came to 2019, when I was writing my feature, I don't think about the influences anymore. I just focus on the story that I want to tell. Um, all those influences and other films that I've enjoyed, they in my subconscious. I'm not thinking about them consciously. I'm just focused on my story. I'm not thinking about my style or if I do even have a style. I just make the film that I want to make. I just write what I want to write.
Yeah, yeah. So, giving yourself that task of a film every month the year before was really the perfect breeding ground to discover who you were, essentially.
Pretty much, yeah.
And so, what was the thing that gave you that idea?
To make a short film a month.
Yeah.
Um, so when I was studying in university, I made two short films that went on to garner 2 million views on YouTube. So that was 2015 and 2016. And for the whole of 2017, I was always obsessed with the idea of making a micro budget feature film like these filmmakers I admire, like Christopher Nolan and Stanley Kubrick. But I just couldn't get around to it.
Mm,
Yeah, as an artist, you have self doubt. in the best place in life. I was quite young. I wasn't in the best financial position. I was just focused on making money. And I think a year went by. I was let go from my job, and I thought I just wasted a year of my life. I didn't make one film for 2017. So for 2018, you know what? I'm just gonna make a short film a month. I don't care how I do. I'm just going to do it. I contacted the only two actors I knew at the time. I said, "Yo, I'm gonna write a film about you, with you guys as the leads. I do it for free because it'll be for your show reel and go on YouTube. I'm not making any money off it. But if you're free for a day, I'll write the story around you guys. I'll film it all in one day and we'll release it that same week." And I did that in January 2018, and I kept doing that every month for the whole of 2018. And naturally, I grew my network. I refined my production process. I developed as an artist. I was connecting with other filmmakers and other actors, and then by the end of 2018, when I made my last short film, Trick, I felt like I finally honed my voice.
Mm.
I felt like I don't want to make any more short films. I think I'm ready for my feature film. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and it was training ground. It was a boot camp for my feature film, because I thought, if I can't even make a short film a month with no budget and no crew, how am I supposed to make a feature film?
Yeah.
Um, and I thought the short films were hard. Genuinely, I was like, some months I was ripping my hair off trying to think of an idea, and then when it came to making the feature film, it was 10 times as hard. The short films were actually a breeze now that I think about it. Yeah, I'm always challenging myself. It's because I'm brown. I'm from Birmingham. I don't get. I'm from the ghetto. I'm from the inner city. People aren't like queuing up to give me opportunities, so I make opportunities for myself. I don't wait around on other people. And I feel like it's especially as a filmmaker today, you have to be willing to do things that other people aren't willing to do, so you can stand out.
Well, I think that's a big thing, right? If you're not prepared to take a risk on yourself, why should someone take that risk on you? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's always the way I kind of look at these things. And yeah, no, I will say, you know what I mean? That training ground you gave yourself, it paid off, because watching Bluff, it it doesn't feel like a low budget film. You know, it feels very slick. You know what I mean? You put it together very nicely, right? What was all right, before I get to that, let me ask you, with this whole training you were giving yourself, learning the different elements of filmmaking, what was the hardest one for you to kind of grasp?
Hmm. I think I was tested quite a bit while making the film, but there was always solutions I could come up with when days were tough. I think the real test came after I finished the film. I thought all I have to do is make a good film, and people will find me. I'll have, you know, agents and producers lining up to talk with me. That wasn't the case. I submitted to all these film festivals, got rejected by all of them, and
Yeah.
there was a lot of self doubt at this point, because I was thinking, I, I made the film I wanted to make. I'm very proud of it, and the fact that and I believe the film is fantastic, and the fact that all these people in the industry were ignoring me, um, and being rejected by all these festivals, it was a hard lesson for me to swallow, because I realized, you know, as sad as it is, it's not always about the film these days. It really is who um, what connections you have, what uh, privilege you have in life, and I didn't. I'm not very privileged in the sense that I come from a rich family, or I was born in the industry. With cousins and or family members or friends who worked in the industry. So I didn't have those connections, and I realized that I have to work 10 times as harder than my BAME counterparts, and that's that's the path I've chosen, and I'm not going to give up, obviously, but it was a bit of a wake up call that I thought just making a fantastic film would be enough.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm. But here's the thing, though, right? That part might have been tough, but the fact that the year before you did 12 films, right? That you took every element of the film on your own shoulders to do. You know what I mean? That you thought of, that you came up with this story, right? There's a lot of people that have all the resources in the world, but can't, you know what I mean, paste the story together, right? And you managed to do that. So it's like, that's big, son.
I
That's
thought
some,
that it's impressive, right? And that's why I was so flabbergasted when no one cared in the industry. It's like I didn't understand why no one cares. But luckily, you know what? Putting the industry aside, putting the film out there and connecting with an audience and seeing the reviews, people commenting, telling me what they thought of the film. That's what it means to be a filmmaker. I didn't make this movie to be rich and famous. I made this film because uh, it's a story I wanted to tell, and I wanted an audience to watch it. You don't make films just for yourself. You want to share your art, and the
mm,
fact that my art is being shared right now, like strangers are finding it from all over the world. I had a Pakistani brother from New York find my film from Reddit, and he rented the film with that same hour, and then DM'd me.
see.
You know, a complete stranger. I have no connection
Mm,
to this
mm,
guy, but he found me and told me what he thought about the film. And then there was another woman. She told me it made her cry because she lost her son-in-law to heroin addiction. The fact that I could connect with audiences like that and such a wide breadth of audiences. You got older women, you know, older white women. You got a young Pakistani dude from New York. Like that, the fact that I could connect with these people and my film touches them. That's that's the thing that's given me true joy.
that's cool, man. Because yeah, drugs, man, drugs don't care what color your skin is. You know what I mean? They will come to everyone. And well, if you can afford them, right? That's the thing. So we you decided to do this film. Now, the film jumps around different time frames, right? So with the non-linear fashion of the storytelling, like was that something that came to you straight away, or was that later on in production that you thought, actually, you know what, I feel this is a perfect way to tell it?
Um, so when I was conceptualizing the story, I've always been a fan of non-linear films, especially because I'm a fan of like film noir, and they do that. That genre plays around with time a lot. Even other filmmakers like Quentin Tarantino with Reservoir Dogs, Nolan with Memento with the backward structure,
Yeah.
Pulp Fiction. So I knew the genre of the film that I was telling. I could make it non-linear if I wanted to, but I didn't want to make it non-linear for the sake of making it non-linear to stand out. Oh, look at me! I
Mhm.
can do all these fancy, techniques. It wasn't until I figured out the twist of the film, which was maybe like 25% way into my writing process. I was like, oh, it would be more interesting if I cut between these two timelines, because I noticed when I was conceptualizing the arc of the story, you know, the main protagonist, you know, let's say you have an arc. I realized his investigation has two arcs. There's an arc from the beginning to the halfway point, and then there's another character arc in the second half. So
Yeah.
instead of showing the film as one arc, then another arc, why do I cut between the two arcs at the same time? And
Yeah.
it made more sense. It made more sense structurally to do that, to keep audience engagement, and it plays into, conventional story structure, and it just made sense. So then the nonlinear structure wasn't a gimmick anymore. Now I had a justification for why I'm telling the story in this fashion. So that came about maybe 30 or 40% into the writing process.
Okay. Okay. Now, sometimes when we do the whole time frame jumping and all of that kind of thing, there's different devices people use. You know, sometimes there's a different grain of the film, you know, a different angle, right? A different film ratio. Um, you didn't do that, but it was still clear. I felt what was going on. Right? I mean, if you pay attention and you look at the characters, right? So, was there any time a fear that maybe I'll lose the audience here?
There was, but then at the same time, I kind of thought, fuck it, it has to be done. But to be no, no, but to be fair, I I played into the language of cinema. I wasn't going to make them a confused because as a filmmaker, if they're getting confused, I've done a bad job. So it was up to me as a filmmaker to figure out how can I keep people engaged and on track with what's happening in the story. And
Mhm.
I didn't want to do the typical. I thought the easiest way would be to the most conventional way a lesser filmmaker would have thought of was probably, oh, let's just use a different color or film stock or something. And I thought that was a very cheap device to use. And I wanted to play into the fundamentals, which is mise en scene, the location, the character, the costume, makeup. How does the character look? So let's say in one timeline he's wearing a different colored jacket and his hair's all messy, and in another timeline, he looks more slick. His hair's
Mm.
slicked back. He's wearing a black jacket. It looks more like a gangster. So from in the beginning, when I show snippets of it. So from the opening sequence of the film, audiences are immediately hopefully engaged. Where they're like, how does he go from this junky looking character to this clean gangster looking character? So it makes people want to watch the rest of the film and see how these two timelines connect. So I used costume, makeup, and hair to convey the change in time period, and I hope audiences were able to follow it. And it seems like most of them have. There are an odd few that didn't get it, but there's only so much you can do as a filmmaker.
Oh
Yeah,
man, like I got what's going on. The
yeah.
thing that got me, right? I was just a bit like, why's my man taking that shit? Like, if someone's talking to you like that, you clap that motherfucker. Like, what is going on? And then we get the little towards the end, and it's like, oh shit. Oh, nice. I like what you did there because you definitely threw me off, right? With some of the events going and the way people were talking to each other. And then we get the whole, I thought that was a little nice touch. Like, did you play around with that whole reveal, with that whole kind of sequence, or
Oh,
what?
the reveal. Okay.
Yeah, did it come
Yeah,
to you
yeah,
straight
yeah.
away?
Oh, okay,
What
okay,
did you
okay.
do with that?
This the okay. I don't. So we're not doing any spoilers. It's a
Yeah,
spoiler
yeah, yeah.
free.
Try to
Okay.
dance
Okay.
around
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
man.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay. Without spoiling things for audiences that haven't watched it, um, that twist you're referring to, it came to me. Um, it might have come to me halfway through the writing, if I'm honest, because I didn't know that particular character was going to be such an important role in the film.
Okay.
Uh, I didn't realize this until halfway through writing, because as you're writing, you're learning more about the characters are speaking to you more, and
Mm.
and naturally I learned enough about this character where I grew an affinity for this character, and then halfway through the writing, I realized, oh, what if I did this? And then the whole story changed, and it also worked with the whole structure. And I thought, this is going to take the film to that other level, that that great that that legendary level. I thought this is a thing that will basically, okay, you thought I was good. No, this is how good I am. Okay,
Uh,
yeah, and I thought, oh, this is perfect, and I didn't want to just shoehorn it in. I wanted to show, like, there was a bit of ego to me, where it's like, yo, like,
right.
I think I'm a good
There's a
filmmaker.
little bit of
Yeah,
ego to you, Shank.
yeah.
I'd never
I
guess.
want to show off a little. I want to show, yeah, this is how good I am, because I was so used to being ignored by everybody in the industry, ignored by talent agents, ignored by sales agents. Like, even then, I was like, I'm not going to let you define my worth. This is how good I am, and I know my worth, and I want to show that on the screen, on the page. Like, I'm not your average writer or director.
Mm,
Um,
mm.
I put too much hours into my craft, you know, to be ignored. To not be able to tell a story that's amazing.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Nah, it definitely works. It definitely
yeah.
works. You. Oh, I was relieved because I was
Did
a
you see that?
little
Did you see it coming by any chance?
no.
You didn't
No,
see it
no, no,
coming.
no. Didn't
Okay.
see it coming. Like, because I think the thing is, you are very smart with the angles you used on some of the scenes. So we saw some of the stuff around certain incidents, but we
Yeah.
didn't see the full scene. So
Yeah.
you still
I
didn't.
did things to throw people off. I
Yeah.
put things specifically in the scenes leading up to it to throw people off. So
Mm,
there are some people that are really clever, like some of my one or two of my friends that are really clever, who watch a lot of films. They did kind of see it
Hey,
coming,
oh,
but they weren't too sure.
hold on a second. You just called me dumb, Sheikh. You
No,
know
no,
what I
no,
mean? You
no,
just
no,
called, there's some people that are really clever and they got it. Like,
no,
what are
no,
you
they're
doing here?
writers. No, no, no. So, not to offend you, Kevin. They're writers, so they could see the DNA as I'm writing because they're writers themselves, and because they're you know what because they can tell when I'm throwing them off because that's their job, and as a writer they have to be able to figure out, oh wait, what's actually at play here. And so the ones that are writers, they're really good writers. They figured it out. Like only one or two of them, like
Mm.
they're really talented writers.
Okay, you
Which
walked
annoyed
yourself
me a
back.
little, to be honest. Yeah,
You walked yourself back a bit. You
yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean? It's
yeah.
fine. I'll take the
Yeah.
insult. You know what I mean? I,
I'm so sorry, Kevin.
I might expect a role in your next film, though. You know what I mean?
Okay, okay. Most definitely.
No,
Yeah,
but yeah, I did not see. Like I saw the Sixth Sense thing.
yeah.
The Sixth Sense. I kind of figured that out, but this one didn't figure out. So yeah, I thought I
I
would.
didn't figure the Sixth Sense out. When I first watched Sixth Sense, I don't know. I watched it maybe when I was like 12, so I don't know how it wasn't spoiled for me. But I never figured Sixth Sense out, and I remember it was a moment. And what I liked about the way Sixth Sense did it is when you find out the twist, it changes everything you watched up until
Yeah.
that point. So when you watch it a second time, even though you know the twist, you really enjoy it. It makes you look at things a different way. So another thing with my film is I wanted to make sure that the twist and everything, like you could go back and watch it a second time and enjoy it again. And if anything, I enjoy it. I think this film is enjoyed more on multiple viewings, on the second or third viewing, because now that you know the twist, you're looking out for all the clever things that I did, and you're like, so that that's why that happened. Oh, I can't believe I never saw it coming. And those are the kind of films that I enjoy.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. It's definitely. Yeah. It definitely makes things intriguing. Definitely makes things intriguing. Now with the end, right? Because not like the end, but I'm saying you give more of a. It kind of ends with that commentary on drug culture.
Mm.
Right? Like, so why did you decide to do that rather than, you know what I mean, the character does this thing and then boom, we're done?
It just felt natural to the end of Miller's arc in the story, that he would feel that way and he would say those things. It just felt natural as a him as an undercover cop, having gone through what he does in the film, that he would think those things, and it felt like a powerful way to end the film, with his final thoughts on what he thinks about uh, his whole investigation and the war on drugs, and how it's changed him as a person. Yeah.
Mm. Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense, man. Um, so now it's out in, well, firstly, how did you get the Amazon deal? That's
Oh, so there's this distributor, Indie Rights, who I've been following for many years, from this podcast I've been listening to, Indie Film Hustle by Alex Ferrari, and they distribute these low budget films, and they get them on these platforms, and they help generate revenue for the filmmakers. So I'll always plan to use them for my little film, and the deal that I have with them is very fair. There's no upfront payment, but they take a 20% cut of the revenue, and I take
Mhm.
8%, and they get it on all these platforms. So in the UK, they mainly got it on Amazon, but they're getting it on all these other platforms around the world. So in America, we're available on Tubi, Google Play, where you can watch the film in India and Australia, and they're taking the film to Cannes next month. Well,
Nice.
actually, sorry, we're in May now, so this month, and hopefully they're going to be selling the rights to different territories, and the film will be available in more countries in the coming months.
Oh, that's great, man. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
no, that does sound like a fair deal.
Yeah,
Nice.
I mean, so as a filmmaker today, you can't just focus on the writing, directing, the filmmaking. You really have to focus on the film business.
Mm,
How much is your film going to cost? How are you going to get it out there? How much revenue are you potentially going to make? How are you going to market your film? Marketing is probably just as important as making the film now. I've spent more marketing the film than I have actually making the film, believe it or not, because that's how important it is. Because no point making the film if nobody knows about it. And everyone and their mothers are making films these days. You know, you go to some of these, you look at the program for some of these top festivals, and you just think, I'm not going to be able to watch all these films, and a lot of these films may never ever find an audience. So
yeah.
even though you're playing at Sundance or South by Southwest, you know, arguably the biggest film festivals in the world, you could still be forgotten about. And that's the scariest part about filmmaking. So what are you doing to get your film out there? How can you play to the film's strengths? Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. Definitely. So yeah, the film's out there. How's it, the reception been for you, man?
Really good. It makes me so happy because I've been working on this film since 2019, writing, making it, putting it together, showing it around, and it's a relief to finally show it to audiences and have it available for them to watch. It's not just this thing that belongs to me anymore. It's for everyone to enjoy, and the reception has been very good, and a lot of people have gotten exactly what I was trying to do with the story.
That's great, man. That that
Yeah.
that's really good to hear. So I think, because I know I'm gonna have to let you go soon, because we had the technical issues, and I think you're doing some state stuff, but
Yeah.
I think the question everyone's wondering, what's next? Wait, like, are you cooking something up right now? Like, what's next, son?
Um, so there's that film that flopped in 2017, the feature film idea that I wanted to do initially for my first film, but I realized I didn't have the skills to pull it off yet, and I still didn't have the skills in 2019. So I'm working on my the idea from 2017 for that feature film idea, and it might be a few years before um, it comes to life because I don't want to do it in this no micro budget way.
Mhm.
Ideally, I want to do it in the States. I want to have some stars in it, and I want to do it
Okay.
properly. Yeah,
Okay.
and
And
God
of
knows how long
course,
it's going to take.
this is gonna be, you know what I mean, like my little starring vehicle. That's right, right?
Yeah,
That's what
yeah,
we're
yeah,
doing.
definitely. Yeah, you can have a cameo as a bartender like I did in Bluff.
Awesome,
Yeah,
man. Well, it's
yeah,
good that you know what I mean, you've got something that you're planning, and
yeah.
that's good, because yeah, you need this boom. This, I feel, it's gonna really lay that foundation for you.
I
Uh
really hope so. Yeah,
yeah, no, man. It's definitely a solid, and it's the first, with being your first film, right? The fact that you've been able to create this, it's big. It's big, man. So, what I mean? Hey, I think the sky's the limit. Now, how can people follow what you're doing? How can they see the film? Let them know your details, son.
okay. You can follow me on Instagram at CineShake, CineSheikh, or we have a Instagram page for our film as well, Bluff Movie UK, all one word, and we also have a website, bluff-movie.com, and that's everything. How you can find me and learn more about the film and where you can watch it.
Cool. Okay, people, the links will be in the episode details as usual. So make sure you check out the film, because you will not be disappointed, right? And yeah, give Shake a follow, man. Definitely
Thank
do
you.
that. Well, man, hey, I appreciate you stopping by. I enjoy, because I do like an undercover film, like Deep Cover back in the day. In
Oh, Deep Cover. Okay, Lawrence Fishburne.
Huh?
Yeah,
Of
yeah,
course.
yeah.
You know what
What
I
Donnie
mean?
Brasco? What about Donnie Brasco? What do you think? What's your verdict on Donnie Brasco?
I enjoyed Donnie Brasco, man. It
Okay.
took you through. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, like, because he's a bit of a scumbag, but you
yeah.
definitely feel for the characters, and
What
like,
about Serpico?
Yeah, I mean, come on, that's just some classic
Okay,
shit.
okay, yeah, yeah. So these are a lot of the films I was inspired by as well. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But yes, I
Deep
like it.
Cover is not Deep Cover isn't one that people talk about a lot for whatever reason. I don't know why.
I
I
don't
think
know. It's such a good film.
yeah, it's a good film.
Such
Yeah,
a good and In Too Deep, man. In Too Deep. I
yeah,
enjoyed the hell out of that. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So
yeah,
yeah, I think certain. I think was Deep covers what 80s, yeah, I feel
yeah.
80s. In Too Deep was
I think so.
90s. I think people just forget about them.
Yeah,
Which
I wanted to make with Bluff. I wanted to kind of have a throwback to that era of filmmaking, but make it contemporary for modern audiences.
mm,
You know, what are the things about that genre and those films that make them so special? But how can we um make it sing to modern audiences? So that's what
mm,
I kind of wanted to do with Bluff. You know, and I hope
nice.
I've done that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you definitely did a
Mm.
good job. Definitely did a good job, man. So definitely be proud of it. So
Thank
yeah,
you.
congratulations, man. And hey, once you got the new project, make sure you stop by and have a conversation. All right.
You might have to wait a while, unfortunately, Kevin. The industry's tough.
Hey,
But
no worries,
yeah,
man. No worries.
yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you for your time. Real appreciate it.
Take care.
All right, man. Peace.